Alrighty, so far we've been working on solving equations, and now we're going to be working on solving equations that involve parentheses, which actually means we're going to have to apply the distributive property. So at the end of this video, you will be able to solve an equation involving the distributive property. First off, before we actually solve equations using the distributive property, I want to show you what that looks like and how we can deal with it if we do have a problem that has parentheses in. So our first problem is just going to be, my directions are going to be to simplify. And it might have something that looks like this, 2 times parentheses 3x plus 5. So before we actually start solving, we do need to deal with parentheses, and we actually are going to be using the distributive property. I'm going to be showing 2 different ways of getting the answer for this, and you just choose the answer that works best for you. So my first way is, I know people have already learned this, when you apply the distributive property, you are distributing the two to both parts inside of the parentheses. So I know that you've learned to actually draw some parentheses that look like that. So then we could just do 2 times 3x, which would be 6x. And then we would do 2 times 5, which would be 10. And then we just carry down that plus sign. So that's one way. The way that I kind of like to do it, because it's going to help when we get to some of the harder problems, is I like to use an area model because we are multiplying. So just kind of watch this. So we're going to have 2 on one side, and then it was 3x plus 5. So I'm going to put 3x plus 5. And then we're actually going to be filling in the boxes. So we're actually, if you've done Punnett squares at all in biology, kind of the same concept, we're going to fill in this box. It will be 2 times 3x, which will be 6x. And then in this box, it's going to be 2 times 5, which is 10. And then my answer will be still 6x plus 10. We cannot combine those because they are not like terms. So those are 2 different ways of doing it as we go through. And this way, it just is a little bit more visual way of your thinking. So you're less likely to make a mistake, I think. So just let's do one more of those. If I have 4 and then x minus 2. So we are going to have, again, 2 different ways of thinking about it, and I'll do both ways, right? We've got that. So I'll do 4 times x, which would be 4x, and then I'll do 4 times 2, which is 8, and then we just carry down the minus sign, okay? The other way of doing it is our area model way. So I have 4 and then x, and then we bring that minus 2, we kind of think of it as being a negative 2. So then if I fill in my boxes, 4 times x is 4x, 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, and so then I have 4x minus 8, or I could write 4x plus negative 8. Either one would be appropriate. So that's how we would use the distributive property. So now we're going to actually use it when we go to solve problems. So if I have problem number 3, we have 3, and then I have 2 x plus 1, and that is going to equal 15. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is deal with this distributive property. I think I'll do this one with the area model, and I'll do the other one with parentheses. So this one I'm going to draw my area model because we cannot solve this until we've taken care of those parentheses. So we're going to have a 2x and a 1. So 3 times 2x would be 6x, and 3 times 1 would be 3. So if I wrote down what that is now, it's going to be 6x plus 3, and now that will equal 15. Okay, and then I will actually, I think I'll do this one using the mobile balance just because I think it's a little bit easier for people. So we're going to now have 6 x's, and then I have 3, so I'll put the 3 in a circle, and then I have the 15, so I'll put the 15 in a circle. Nothing that I can combine on either side. There's no x's that I can cross out from each side, so I know I want the x's to be by themselves, so I need to get rid of the 3 by subtracting it from the other side. So 15 minus 3 would be 12. So basically, I'm subtracting 3 from the left side, which means I also need to subtract 3 from the right side. Okay, so now I have, if I look at what I have 6 x's, which equals 12. And then from here, we'll just do 12 divided into 6 x's, which would mean each x has to equal 2. Alrighty, okay, next one, number 4. We're going to have negative 2, and then 4x minus 3, and then equals negative 18. All right, on this one, I'm going to go ahead and do the parentheses. So not parentheses, the arrows. So negative 2 times 4x would be negative 8x. And then negative 2 times negative 3 would be a positive 6. Again, I think I'm going to do the area model on this one too, though. So I have a negative 2 on the one side. I have 4x and the minus 3. I think this one just clears up to make sure that we're not forgetting our negatives. Negative 2 times 4x is the negative 8x, and then negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. So we get the same answer, just it's how you get it, and then equals negative 18. Okay, now on this one, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to try to do it without drawing our balance, but you certainly could if you would like to. I'm going to draw my line to show those are the two sides of the mobile balance. Nothing that I can combine. There's no x's that I can cancel out. So I do know I want the x's to stay there. So I don't want the 6. So to get rid of the 6, I'm going to subtract it from the left side, which means I also need to subtract it from the right side. So on these ones, you could either type in your calculator -16 minus 6, or you could think they both have the same sign, so I need to add them together and get -22. Whoop, I meant for this to work better. It is not. So I get -8x, and unfortunately, I guess I'm just going to keep it how it is. 22 divided by 8, oh boy. 22, how many times? Let's see, 2 times 16, 4. I think it's going to be 2.5, so your answer will be 2.5. So it is possible to get a decimal, it's just not. I'm going to try to give you easier problems than that. Okay, your turn. So problem number 5, let me go ahead and write it down. We've got a 2, x plus 5 is equal to 12. What I'd like you to do at this point in time is please pause the video, try it on your own, and then come back and see how you did. Alrighty, hopefully you are back now. I am going to go ahead and work through this. I'm going to do the area model on this one because that's just my favorite way of doing the problems. So x and 5, 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 5 is 10. So my answer will be 2x plus 10 and then equals 12. And then I think I will go ahead and do the balance. I have 2 x's and 10. And then on the other side, I have 12. And then from here, nothing I can... no x's to cross off, no things to combine on the same side. So I want the x's by themselves. So I don't want the 10, which means to get rid of it, I'd subtract it from the left side, which means I also need to subtract it from the right side. 12 minus 2, 10 is 2. So I now have 2 x's is equal to 2. And then to finish it, I would divide both sides by 2, and each x would have to equal 1. Without using the equation, without using the balance, I would have pretty much thought the same thing. I only want the x's over here, so to not have the 10, I'd have to subtract it from both sides. So 12 minus 10 would be 2, and then we'd get the same answer. So hopefully you got that as well. So hopefully now you are able to solve an equation involving the distributive property.